What is up, guys, and good morning. Welcome to week 28 of SATAL. This is the matchup that pits 36 Stormo versus the 59th Ravens. I say this every week, but I cannot believe we have been doing this for 28 weeks so far. This is... I thought I'd be bored out of my mind doing this so far, but it's been a ton of fun. Joel, I'm glad you eventually came into the picture here and were able to join me. What do you think of the matchup this morning? We're waiting on 36 to get some stuff going. We had to roll back to the release version because there were some issues with, especially with VR, and a lot of the guys from 59 fly in VR. So no updated missiles today, but we're just waiting on 36 to get some stuff. But Joel, what do you think of today's matchup? How do you think everything's going to roll out? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, morning everybody, and I think we're going to have ourselves a pretty decent matchup today. I think 59, as me and you were just
disconnected. Channel switch.
Improving with their ability, seemingly throughout this whole process here. So I think we're going to see a good showing from them today, and there is a chance for upset. They could be the upset maker here today with the position that I believe 36th is in as far as the standings go.
Yeah. So that is something to keep in mind. If you guys want to click the button down below to go to the merge, or the SATAL button to check out the standings, 36th, unfortunately 59th, we'll precap with this, is out of the end of the year tournament. But 36th is on the cusp. So I think they're in 4th, right? On the B bracket. I'm pretty sure they are.
I believe so.
So if they win today, the B bracket is kind of, it's all over the place in what could happen. If they win today, there is a possibility that they could jump to 3rd place, depending on how RBE does against SF in the very last match that's coming on the 15th of this month. So the whole brackets, both of them, including the A bracket, are all... Everything's fair game. Nothing is set in stone. Everything is going to be... It's going to come down to the very end, not knowing where everybody slots in for the end of the year tournament.
No, it's shaping up pretty good, and I think, like I said, 36 is really going to do what they can today to shore up their position for the end of the year, because that seeding is going to be super important coming into the playoffs, and I think any position you can move up to grab is going to be super beneficial. So see what they can do here today. And 59th Ravens, see if maybe they pull their first win out of the year as an upset win and really kind of hold in 36 Stormo in that fourth slot.
Yep. So we're still waiting. Evidently 36 is having some update issues. One of their guys is not able to update, so we'll have to see how that progresses. But let's change topics. So we've had, while we're waiting, let's talk about some things that have been happening in DCS. So this week we have, well, this weekend, a couple weeks ago, we had updates to the AIM-7 and AIM-120 family. The MH came out a couple weeks ago. We got lofting with the MH. And then this week with the update, the AIM-9X got better. Its off-bore sight improved from 60 to 90 degrees, so it's even more deadly. They increased the flare rejection, the countermeasure rejection, so it's even more of a monster. They also changed the guidance, and this is something that I'm excited for, even though I don't really fly a lot of NATO aircraft. Even though I don't fly a lot of NATO aircraft, I'm excited to see the guidance updates for the AIM-7 and the 120. We did some testing. I did some testing yesterday with a couple of the guys, or on Wednesday with a couple of the guys, and it's a nice welcome change. The missiles don't pull as many Gs as they do during initial guidance. They wait until they get into a terminal stage in order to pull all of the G, but it's a nice change. What do you think about what's been going on?
Just from the little bit of firing of the AIM-9 I had this week, I definitely saw those improvements firsthand a few times, and it's really nice to see that thing kind of come into fruition. I'm really excited to get that helmet. That's going to be a lot of fun. I haven't spent a lot of time in the flanker, so I really haven't had a lot of experience using that helmet mounted sight, but the past week of kind of dabbling in there, it really made me excited to get it in the Hornet, because it really is a beneficial tool in a firefight, or in a dogfight rather.
Yeah, it definitely is, and I'm excited to see. Hopefully, we get the helmet-mounted sight, helmet-mounted queuing system for the Hornet here soon. I'm excited to see how that all goes into what the Hornet has to offer. Obviously, the AIM-9X is a little more potent of a missile than the 73 is, so it having a helmet-mounted queuing system is, in my opinion, more deadly than what we have on the Flanker.
No doubt about it. I'd have to agree with you there. I was also excited to see that poll they put out this week, you know, kind of gauging the interest of where they want to go with the Hornet. So it'll be interesting to see what we get coming up
I
here.
am too. Now, to change topics here real quick, we'll come back and revisit this, because I also want to get the audience's poll. Well, quick tidbit of information, just so everybody knows. It's a 30-second delay, so if you guys are talking and trying to interact with us, please give me some context on what you're talking about if you ask a question or if you're trying to relate to something in the stream, because it sometimes can get hard to remember what we talked about 30 seconds ago as we move forward. But back to what I was going to talk about. So we ran the initial video, if you guys hadn't seen it already. The heat blur announcement for the A6 Intruder AI is huge to me, and hopefully eventually heat blur will say, we're going to turn this A6 Intruder into a full-fledged module, which I would be stoked about. I mean, as ugly as the A6 Intruder is, I think it would be a awesome module for DCS, especially in conjunction and with the F-14 and bringing more of those Vietnam era modules into the DCS worldscape.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at all of those I believe those are Mark 82s lining the bottom of that thing. I mean, that just looks like it would be a lot of fun to let go of those things all at once now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and I want its all-weather, low-level flight capabilities. I want to fly its ugliness. I want to fully embrace the shit bus of the A6. I mean, that's I want it. I want to pilot the bulbous nose porpoise through the skies and be a real air whale in the DCS world.
I'd take that thing with a couple of strikes and go have myself a good old time. That thing was a pretty monster seed machine.
Yeah,
in its day.
If you guys missed out on that video, I'll probably play it again later for all of you, the new guys on the stream. It came out early this morning, like midnight, 1, 2 a.m. The other thing that came with it is that they also announced that there's going to be some other announcement on October 7th. I don't know what that announcement is, but there's a countdown on their website. So heatblur.com, there is a countdown, counting down until October 7th. I have no idea what that is. I'm in the dark as much as you guys are. Heatblur, the masters of building anticipation and amping the crowd up in comparison to all of the other third-party devs for DCS. We're just waiting on 36 to join. We can get this show on the road. They've got 5 guys in.
I'm right there with you, Half Inch Soul. I want them all too. Give me all the modules.
Soul, yeah, man, I want to be inside it. I want to embrace it. I want to feel its warmth if I'd be so inclined.
It'd be cool to just be able to use the K model if possible to do some buddy tanking. That would be quite nice.
There's a lot of things that would be quite nice. But back to our
Agreed.
topic of missiles. So what do you guys think about the updates that came down from ED? What do you guys think about all of the new changes that they're making? I welcome all of the missile changes. I'm excited for what they're doing. But this leads me into my next topic. So chat, let me know what you guys think about all that stuff. But this leads me into my next topic. I want to start a conversation about, and we've been talking about this in 51st, and Joel, you can weigh in here too. And guys, we're going to jump into the match here pretty soon. I'm just waiting on the last guy from 36 to join. They had some update issues again, but what do you guys want to see? And I really want chat's input. I want the viewers' input. Joel, I want your input too on what do you guys want to see from SATAL next year? And what I mean by that is 51st, we're in a debate right now on what we should do as far as weapons. And the reason I bring this up is because and I'm gonna give you my viewpoint here right now. And Venom and Amasur, thanks for the follows. Disco Ludong, thanks for the follow. Much appreciated. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. But my viewpoint with this whole thing is, I think it's more exciting when we get closer engagements, when we get into merges, when the pilots have to maintain a head-on or hot approach instead of being able to use actives and fire and turn cold. I understand that that's part of the DCS World weapons portfolio, but to me, it's not as exciting. It doesn't showcase pilot skill as much. It allows the missile or the weapons to offload things that the pilot would have to do, and having that, it diminishes the amount of, what's the word I'm looking for, how much pilot skill is involved in these fights. So I know it's not as cool to not have all the latest weapons, and I know I fly the flanker. I don't want this to come across as I'm just trying to make the flanker relevant. I know that can come across that way, but I don't even know how much longer I personally am going to fly the flanker. F-14 drops, man. Actives, aim 7s all the way. So I don't want it to come across as that, but I want, from a viewer standpoint, it's exciting. I think when they get into the merges, I think it's more fun to cast. From a pilot skill perspective, I think there's more skill involved when you get into the merges. It's more skill involved when you're having to maintain a hot aspect on the bandit to make sure that you've got the radar painting them and all that stuff. That's my opinion. Chat, what do you think? Joel, what do you think? What do you guys want to see out of SATAL?
Well, I think I tend to agree with you, where I think in this format, with what we're doing here, creating those moments, I think is paramount to the entertainment value of what we have going on here. And I think that by removing some of those weapons, we do really force those engagements a little more. Now, if we were doing something where we're simulating more of a modern battlefield here, and we have more of these engagements where, stuff is happening not necessarily to shoot guys down, but maybe to bump back, enemy cap area and stuff like that. That's to me where those 120s are really valuable in those type of engagements, when you're trying to push enemy forces in a direction or do something of that nature. And I think that has its place in the real world, but I think within the world that we are creating with SATAL, having that shorter engagement really does make things more entertaining. And I think at the core showcases the pilot skill more, as you're saying, and that's really what we're trying to see here, is how skilled these guys are. Right, exactly. That's exactly what we're trying to build. And Stevo99 says, can you all do a Korean era theme? That's not out of the question, Stevo. There's other events coming down the pipeline. What we're trying to do right now is we're trying to get SATAL. This is the first year we've done it. We're trying to get all of that under control and make sure that we have a grasp on all of that moving forward before we start introducing all of this other stuff. Lazy Seal asks that he wants to not just see an air-to-air only, but a mixed Cold War sub-league. That is something also that we're talking about. We have Persian Incident coming, which is like a squads-only version of Blue Flag that isn't going to be up persistently. It's going to be like 3 hours every couple weeks that we might do for streaming, which could be exciting. So that's coming. There's all different kinds of things coming. Lazy Seal also says he thinks that SATAL air-to-air, if you stay air-to-air, will consist of teams F-18, F-14s. That is it. Oh, he thinks that that if we don't kind of curb some of that, all the pilots are going to drift over to the Ferrari or the faster car of the league, if you will, for, with a lack of a better example there. And there's a chance that could happen, because, and when it comes to SATAL, you're using the best equipment you can possibly get your hands on, at least in your opinion, right? And I think that could be a possibility if some of that stuff isn't curbed. I do tend to agree with you. Although there are some guys out there that are pretty diehard to the cause with the flag.
And I was just changing in. 36 said they were ready to go. They're only going to fly with 5 on this first one because they were having some update issues, so that's rather unfortunate. But, you know, it could open the door a little bit more for 59th to get in here, see what they have to offer, since they're only doing 5 pilots here initially, here out of 36. It's not something I want to see, but it is what it is. And we've seen guys fly with 5 in the past. It's not any less exciting. We'll have to see what comes to fruition here. We see the 36 guys taxiing. It looks like they're all in J11, so this is going to be a... Oh, they do have one guy. Italicus is in an F-15, but this is going to be primarily a F-15 versus J11 fight here. Half-Inch Soul says SATAL should be about pilot skill. The game isn't about balance, but SATAL should be.
I'd agree with that.
I agree with that. That's a really good way of putting that. So I like how you've described that. Just watching these guys taxi.
Well, I think it's about creating as balanced of a playing field as possible. You want competitive balance is important in any competition. You need to have that there. And if one side, you know, like I think as you're saying, you say it's one thing is more dominant and it is more dominant by a large margin, you're gonna see it just end up being that plane versus that plane because people are gonna take that more dominant aircraft if you give them the option to. Rightfully so. We're all competitive. We all want to win. We all want to give ourselves the best advantages. So I think it's up to us, the groups that kind of organize this stuff, to at least take that factor into consideration and make some decisions that, you know, keep that at its core, that competitiveness.
But I'm not, and I said this earlier, I don't look at this as me just wanting competitiveness. I want what the viewers want, what you guys think is fun to watch, because in the end, realistically, yes, we're putting this on to provide a competition for DCS, but we stream this because we want to provide entertainment for the viewers. We want to provide a community for the viewership in DCS, and we want to give something to the viewership and to the DCS community that we haven't had before. And honestly, if it's not fun to watch, you guys aren't going to want to tune in to come out and hang out with us and talk about all this shit. So in the end, that's how I feel about it. I come from the side of what's exciting to watch, and to me, I get exciting, at least from a casting perspective, of when shit gets into the merge. When it's shit hot and we've got mono-y-mono, I can hit the F5 view and we can see it from both perspectives. That's when I get excited, and so that's what I have a tendency to be biased towards, I guess.
And I think Lazy Seal, you know, brought up a good aspect there. You know, maybe it's about limiting, saying each team can only field 1 or 2 F-14s or F-18s, or, you know, something along, maybe it's not those specific planes, but maybe it's something along those lines where you do allow it in there, but you only allow X amount on each side to have it. And I don't know if maybe that's something that's been discussed and for X or Y reason isn't a good idea, but at least on its face value seems like a possibility for me.
Just watching both teams take active here. And if you guys don't know, I see Moltbot broadcasted earlier. The TAC view is being broadcast on DCS World Events 2. So be sure to tune into that as well. You guys can get an overall view with some more statistics and stuff from TAC view. It's just centered on Bullseye so that I don't have to go over there and move it around all the time. But that is, you guys have seemed to like that a lot. We'll be doing TAC view debriefs after each one of the rounds. So we'll go through each one of the rounds after each one completes to more analyze a little bit more in depth. I don't go into a ton of depth, but it's more of like a recap of what took place in these particular rounds. So you guys, if you missed anything, can see what went down, and I'll weigh in on with my, you know, my opinion that doesn't really matter, because what do I know?
Well, almost time for one of my favorite portions of the round, which is the formations. What are the formations going to be this morning?
We do talk about that quite a bit. Lazy Seal says,
my favorite part.
Then you should set priority. If viewers fun first, then mix or tasks will force more action, which will keep viewers awake. Lazy Seal, are you saying that you fall asleep? Is that what you're telling me? All right, so I've got
for that non-stop action.
4 of the 36 guys on the main runway. We're waiting on the last guy to come in here.
Interesting formation here with the J11s and the lone F-15 in the middle there.
Looks like all the J11s have ETs. I can't tell how many 77s we've got. A little bit of lag coming from one of the 36 guys. Looks like it's stabilized. 59 says they're ready. Just waiting on 36 to give the ready.
I believe half-inch one side is mostly F-15s and the other side is mostly J11s, correct?
It is, yes.
I got that feeling we're going to get a good one today. We'll see.
I hope so.
See.
We say this every time, but just waiting on 36 to, okay, they do. So fight's on. There's the go, go, go. And round 28 of SATAL, man, week 28 since February, 36 versus 59 is underway, and I have a feeling this is going to be a good one. 36 departing, J11's first.
Interesting location this week too. You know, the past few weeks, the feet wet, feet dry has been a big factor in this. This week, it does not look like as we're going to be seeing the ocean and that, you know, low-lying terrain really factor in here. You got mountains to the north and the south of where this is going to be going on. So we'll see who can get dragged in there and some of those little tight corners. Maybe some knife fighting, as we like to see.
So these guys are departing now. And as Joel said, we're going to have to see what formations they come in here. See a lot of 2 ships in the past with SATAL, but they are only a 5 ship this time.
Yep.
They are missing a pilot.
It looks like two flights in a lone single ship, a singlet in between there. We'll see if that shapes up or whether they form up differently. And it looks like clear separation here from 59. 3 ships, one splitting off heading north, the other looking like it's slightly dragging south.
And before we get into the action, guys, we've gotten some survey results already, but I want to bring this up again. We've got a survey link down below for a Google survey. It gives us some info on what we're doing well, what we can improve on. We've gotten a lot of responses so far. So if you've got a few minutes and you want to let us know how shit we're doing or how well we're doing, go ahead and take that survey. I'd really appreciate if you did. It just lets us make this everything that we can for you guys watching. So back to the action. We've got the 2 ship leading the way for 36 of Drigo and Evil, Italicus, Gnalma, and Ericog in a 3 ship behind them. And then, sorry for my horrible camera work there, 59th is separating into 2 3 ships, and they have a decent separation already of 10 kilometers. Everything today, guys, is going to be metric. Just heads up. So it looks like they've stopped separating. So not too bad. 10 kilometers. It's a decent separation. It's what I like to see. Half-Inch Soul says, would 51st gang... What do you mean by gang? You mean, would we go after the 2 ship or the 3 ship? Is that what that question entails? If we were involved in this fight? Nothing new's going on here. 59th are still in their 2 3 ships. 36 is still in their 2 ship and their 3 ship. 36 is in a trail formation with a 2 ship leading the way and the 3 ship in the trail, while 36 is in more of a wall or spread.
My guess is we're going to see 36 come out and be a bit more defensive just based on that, you know, down a pilot factor. But you never know, they could come out with a little bit more of an aggressive stance. But
it depends on how
it's going to be defensive.
What position 59th presents themselves in.
Sure.
If they're a little more disorganized, I would hope that 36 is highly aggressive to try and get that first kill to even the odds, to even the numerical odds between the 2 teams. Because if they can make that happen, the battle becomes exponentially easier for them because they're not outnumbered from the get-go.
Indeed, yeah, they're going to need to look for 59 to make a mistake and early, try to capitalize on that, because that like you're saying, that's their best bet to pulling this one out, is snagging that advantage as quickly as possible, or leveling that advantage as quickly as possible. Pardon me.
Half-inch soul, I'm gonna let, if Rage doesn't mind talking about that, I'm gonna let him do that. I'm gonna be impartial here as a broadcaster. I don't. Not really sure. Watch these guys ingress. Go ahead, Drill.
I'm curious to see. Actually, do we know what we have as far as does each team have a GCI this morning? Or
I know 59th does. I know 59th does. I am not sure about 36th.
Yeah, you'd think maybe if they had the extra, they may have swapped when they couldn't get the update going. So that's kind of what was leading me to think maybe 36th is without GCI. Always interesting to see how that factors in, But you got to think they're getting call-outs from that E3 regardless. So I'm curious if they're gonna start dispatching north. Or it looks like now both of the 59 flights have turned hot on all of the 36 fighter. They created themselves a little bit of separation there between the 2-3 flights.
36th is still in a decent group. They're not low, so they're not use the mountains as an advantage. They're at 10,000 ascending. If we look at 59th, they're at about the same altitude, between 8.5 and 9,000.
I could see them get, I'd frankly like to see 59th get a little higher. I think I saw one aircraft in the mid-20s, I think, still.
I think I'd like to see both teams a bit higher. I'd like to see them capitalize on the altitude energy advantage, especially with the F-15 speed using those 120s. The 120B isn't as fast as the ER, so getting that higher speed is going to greatly help its energy potential when it reaches its target.
Indeed.
Let me check here.
I get the feeling the lead ship on 59th is going to be the attack, while the back 3 flight is going to try to cover the ingress. I get the feeling we might see 59th come out here and be a little aggressive.
Sorry guys, just checking the TAC view to make sure it's working. It is. I wanted to make sure it wasn't paused for some reason. It's just zoomed in so we can't see them ingressing yet. 36, like you called earlier, looks to be playing a little more defensive. They look to be trying to force the engagement over the battlefield that they want. They're taking a slight offset to the southwest. They're not pushing directly hot like 59th is. The distance between the 59th ships has greatly reduced, down from a maximum of 15 kilometers. Now we're down to about 5 kilometers between the 2-3 ships. I'd like to see a little more discipline out of them, where they're maintaining their shape and separation a little bit more. We'll have to see how this all shakes out going into this. Maybe they've got something that I don't know about coming into this fight.
It's going to be interesting to see if this 2-ship from 36 takes on this 3-ship from 59th here in the opening round, or opening salvo of this thing. It seems poised for that now, whether or not 36 pulls a defensive maneuver here to put themselves in a little bit better position. I don't know.
Yeah. What I might like to see here, just to make 36 deal with it, is for 59 to come in here to the east, to take a more easterly approach, and then come in from the north on 36 to see, just to force 36 to have to turn while making the sort, and force them to make a commitment and to make decisions instead of just allowing them to have the easier approach of just flying straight in to their opponents.
They both seem like they're attempting to notch one another from great distance right now, at least the way it looks.
That's okay.
They're pulling, yeah, no, not bad, but they're pulling almost parallel to one another at the moment.
Steve099 asks, can we tell if either side has a GCI? I know 59th does. I do not know if 36 does. So it looks like the 59th guys are descending through marks or coming up into the marks. They're still ascending, passing 11,000 now. So I do like that they're continuing to ascend. They are nice and fast. 1,000 kilometers an hour. Shot out. Long ER. That's not too bad. 30 kilometers. Aim 9.
And another shot out from Drigo. Two 27s from him out now.
But one is an ET.
Oh, yeah, indeed.
Aim 9. Interesting. Maybe could have been going for that stealth aim 9 shot. It can be effective, ladies and gentlemen. That's not a bad idea.
And here we go. Two 120s out, coming back across, followed by another 27. I believe that one from Evil. And it started, guys. Here we go. That 3 ship now coming back in to cover the egress, but it looks like almost all of 59 is egressing right now. So good maneuvers from 36, not really being as defensive as we thought they were going to be, coming out pretty aggressive, getting those first shots out, and it seems like they got 59 turning and regrouping right now, while they still have 3 hot fighters coming in to pursue. Would have liked to have seen that distance get closed a little better for that to be effective, but we'll see how this plays out.
Well, it depends on what type of game 36 or 59 they're trying to play. The long ERs could have just been trying to, if 59th was going to maintain a hot aspect, to try and get 1 or 2 of the opposition to turn cold, to try and even those odds so they're not going into a fight immediately outnumbered.
Another shot out from Ganalma, sorry.
Another long ER shot coming from what I think was RJF. They're going for these long, sneaky aim 9 shots, and unfortunately these are a little bit too far for them to be effective. That ER I think was on RGF. It's not effective. Swimmer's just going to fly right by it. ER might be on Swimmer. Can't really tell. I think it is. He's now split S-ing and going cold.
Most of the aircraft seem to have moved down to around the 15,000 to 25,000 mark, so we lost a little bit of altitude from where we were initially here, but they're still trying to regain that height advantage, so it seems. Shot.
120B coming from Spike. ET coming from Evil. Is that ET gonna be a problem for 59th? 59th is in gate. I think that's gonna be a problem. Oh, it might be on Mappers. Does Mappers know it's coming? He's still in gate. He's defensive a little bit. It's definitely on Mappers. Yeah, it's out of energy. He sees it at the right time. Doesn't have to flare.
On him though, but it does look like he's going to evade that.
Yeah, he was able to, I think, flare it or go back to engine idle, which is very effective against those ETs long-range IR shots.
Ooh. Ganalma just barely missing a slow 120, but still had a close call with it there.
So both teams flying very defensive, which we've seen a lot out of any team really flying in SATAL lately. 120B coming from RJF on Italicus here from 23 kilometers, so it's effective, but Italicus immediately turns cold as he puts a 120B back on RJF off the rail.
El Rey looks like he just put one out on Italicus as well, but that doesn't look like it's going to have enough to make a difference. But we do have 3 36 fighters, almost 4 coming hot back in now, with 4, almost 5 59 fighters coming in. We could have ourselves a nice little mix-up here.
This is the closest we've seen the Bandits so far. We're under 20 kilometers. Oh my, salvo of missiles coming off from all 4 of the 36 guys, and I think all of them were on Ghost Rider. And Ghost Rider immediately turns cold, sees those coming off the rails, and is just like, guys, fuck this. I'm out of here.
And an aim 9 shot there, trying to sneak one out.
Yeah, but again, yes, they can. Those stealthy aim 9 shots can be effective, but from that distance, especially on a cold Bandit, they're not going to work. So one of those ETs was on Swimmer, who is defensive. He's engine idle here. It doesn't have to flare, just turns cold, and that missile's dead. So 59th playing very well against those ETs. We haven't seen anybody go down to a long-range aim 9 or ET shot, which I like to see. Both teams, again, playing very defensive. I'd like to see, Joel, can you check 36th and see what their missile or weapon situation is continuing on here?
Jumping on that. pretty flush still. I'm not seeing it, although we've seen a lot out. Everyone seems to have a decent balance still of ER or IR and semi-active. Or, excuse me, active.
Couple R77s coming off Aircog and Drigo, and guys, over 10 kilometers, especially on a Cold Bandit.
Those missiles aren't gonna work.
So multiple hot guys from 59th over here on the west, and everyone with the exception of 2 from 36 is cold.
Yeah, we've seen some desperation shots today. I think in a lot of cases trying to bump some guys back there, but certainly putting out a lot of ordnance here. That's just not been tracking as well as they'd probably like it to.
120B on Ganalma, he's cold. That missile should be a non-factor. 120B on Italicus. On El Rey, that missile's going to be a non-factor. Spike here looks to be pushing in deep. He's getting a little aggressive, going head-to-head with Drigo. See if we can get this. Can't see it. Can't see it. Drigo immediately turns cold. That R77, this could be the first kill of the game. Might have some energy by the time it reaches him.
Ooh.
Is it going to? He's still hot. Did it get notched? Did it get line of sighted? Something happened. But Spike continuing in on his Leroy Jenkins, approaching here, going balls to the wall, getting in deep, aim 9 shot, but it's on a Cold Bandit, unfortunately, and Spike thinks better of it and says, I better not press in here too deep, and turns cold into his supporting friendlies of Maffers and Ghost Rider.
A lot of ordnance exchanging here, but no one dropped yet. This has been interesting.
But Aircog taking a page out of Spike's book and is now pressing in decently deep, now with support from Ganalma in here on the 59th opposition. And guys, I'm going to try and fix again the tac view here. Maybe in a minute.
See RJF right now. 120B is pushing. Does he see it?
That thing's going to have a lot of energy by the time it reaches Aircog.
It was going at Aircog. There you go.
Is it going to be able to catch him? Aircog's cold. Don't see it yet. It does catch him. So that's the first casualty of the game. 59th able to capitalize on their numbers advantage. And RJF takes down Aircog, and RJF turns cold just in time to get away from Ganalma. But there is an ET, and we all know those 27 second series missiles carry a lot of energy as they come off the rail. Is he going to be able to line of sight it? No, the ET takes him, and he takes one right up the tailpipe, and Ganalma evens it out.
He's running right now, but he's got two Drigo and Evil coming in to back him up as he tries to pull out of there and escape that 120B from El Rey.
Guys, I'm going to fix the tac view here, try and give you guys a better view. There we go.
Well, does 36 have enough what it takes to pull this out? Down 2 men now, and with 6.
No, they're only down
fighters.
1.
Oh, excuse me.
They're down 1.
All 5 were hot there for a second.
Well, it's 4 for 36th and 5 for 59th. So.
Oh, gotcha.
We've seen 1 casualty from both sides. Maffers, my dude, what are you doing? Aim 9. Long aim 9 shot on a Cold Bandit. It ain't gonna work. So 5 hot guys from 59th with 2 hot Evil and Ganalma coming out of 36th. 77 coming on Maffers. Is that gonna be close enough to be able to cause some damage? As Maffers is trying to notch it, is that gonna be effective? It's still tracking him. Maffers may be in trouble, but I see that 77 look to be running out of energy. Yep, it got line of sighted, but Ganalma, Drigo now staying hot. Ganalma's in here really deep with Spike and Swimmers.
Here we go. They are mixing it up. 120 on Drigo.
Ganalma's in trouble here.
Ooh. Ganalma somehow made it through that, but I don't know how long he can hang in there.
Swimmers takes down Drigo. Missile coming off. I think this is Ganalma we're watching here on somebody. And Ganalma, I think that's Ganalma that got splashed. They just got in too deep there, and they paid for it.
Yep.
So 4 remaining for 59th and 2 remaining for 36. 120B off the rail for Ghost Rider on Italicus. He puts an aim 9 in exchange.
Ooh, does he see it, though? That's got energy still. Whoa,
Yeah, he did get taken down.
Ghost Rider just barely escaped that.
And we've got a merge between El Rey and Evil.
El Rey's got Spike coming in to back him up, but Evil put one out on him there. Ooh.
So Swipe got taken down during that merge. And Evil gets taken down. That was just a gang rape there at the very end, guys. 36 able to take one of the guys down, but that numbers advantage proved to be too much for the majority of that round. So 59th comes out with numerical supremacy at the end of that round. They're going to have to RTB.
I'm going to have to agree with Half Inch Soul. Lots of aim 9 today. Lots of aim 9.
Yeah, there were. There were a lot of aim 9s coming out of that.
That was an interesting first round. I think that's going to set the stage for the next one for sure. That is that was entertaining.
But I think 36 in the next round will have 6 pilots.
Interesting. That's 2 weeks in a row now. We've had that, you know, the first round -1, and then we get the guy back in the second round. That seems to be creates an interesting dynamic.
Comey, I say what I feel. I'm a very expressive person, and gang rape just seemed appropriate.
Well, I agree that they just got in a little, they bought off a little bit too much to chew there at the end, and the two fighters that kind of got into that fur ball, that massive fur ball at the end, that they might have been able to hang in there a little longer if those 4 guys could have maybe regrouped and pulled out of that. But I think ending up in that meat grinder was the fatal mistake.
And I didn't realize this, but Spike actually got hit and he stayed up. I don't know if he took some guns hits. It looks like missile damage as it's all over his plane. He looks to be leaking fuel.
But it does look like Swimmer is in good position to make it back.
I think most of them are.
Yeah. They made it out of it with, so they still have 4 fighters airborne, correct?
3.
3.
Yeah, I think Swimmers is going to be fine. So we've got Swimmer, Ghost Rider, and Spike, all RTB. They've got to come back to Sanaki. Swimmers is 71 clicks out. How fast is he moving? He's at 7,000 at over 1,000 clicks. So he's fine. Even if he were to run out of fuel, he should be able to glide back. That's not an issue, but he's pushing 90% RPM, so that's should be a non-factor RTB into Sanaki here.
Yeah, he definitely took himself some damage there.
So Joel, let's talk about what we think both teams did well here, what we think they didn't do so well here. I'll let you start, and let's start with 36th.
I think 36, you know, I assumed they were going to come out and be a little bit more defensive out the gate, but they didn't. They came out and they pushed right in and started getting shots out across the bow. And they had 59th, almost the entire squadron, I believe, cold in that opening exchange. But I think as we saw, they just, towards the end there, I think maybe the desperation of trying to, you know, continue to play down a man, you know, kept trying to bite off a little bit more than they could chew. And I think we saw what happened there. They got turned inside out on that last two flight there.
Yeah, a lot of it I felt like was situational awareness. I felt like it was that engagement where I think it was Ganalma. I don't remember who the other one was, Drigo maybe, where they got in really deep and they just kind of got surrounded on 3 sides, and it just it almost felt like they got tunnel visioned on one bandit and then they flew into it, and 59th just said, we're going to capitalize on this, and that's exactly what they did. And because there were so many of the 59th guys in that small area, even though 36 was able to take down one of the 59th airmen, it didn't matter. It didn't matter that there was a trade. 59th already had a numerical advantage, so they were just able to capitalize and just taking down yet another one of the 36 pilots.
I'm curious how the GCI may have factored into that there, because you get the feeling some of the mistakes that maybe 36 made was due to the lack of them not having someone kind of calling the shots there. You know, where they're chasing that fighter, maybe, if you will. Maybe some of the, you know, the 59 having that, excuse me, having that GCI allowed them to really kind of read the picture a little bit better and position their aircraft properly.
Yeah, and that's a really, really good point there. I usually forget that, you know, maybe 59th had GCI and 36 didn't. And we saw this last week when 104th was against, who were they against? They were against Lock on Greece when Lock on Greece had 5, and 104th did have GCI. We can see how pivotal a GCI is in the situational awareness in the overall action plan for the engagement in the area. So yeah,
well,
you do bring up a good point there.
That fog of war can you know, move in pretty quickly in these situations, and you know, you get, like you were just pointing out there, you maybe get that one track mind, you get that tunnel vision, the blinders on chasing somebody, and when that GCI is there to tell you no, stop, turn, go cold, extend this distance, it really does kind of keep the cool of the whole squadron in the moment, you know.
Just watching swimmers come in for a landing. No weather conditions that they have to contend with today. Nice and clear. No Nkavik, no wind. No precipitation. So it doesn't look like he's having any issues with fuel here.
It'd be interesting if we decide to do use the Persian Gulf map with that new sandstorm feature that was added this week. That looks pretty cool.
It does. And you know, that brings up a good point of something that I am looking to do in the future. And somebody mentioned guns only earlier. We at 51st are looking to do, and it's going to happen, I just don't know when, a guns only event, and it's probably going to take place on the Persian Gulf map because I want to do it over Dubai so that you can use the city and all of the tall buildings as obstacles to, you know, get around targets. And I think that would be, for lack of a better word, fucking awesome to be able to do that, because it's not something anybody's done in DCS. It's something that's coming. I'm looking to probably do it around Christmas time, though that's not for sure yet, but I want people to know that that is coming. So get excited about that. And it's not going to be a league like this. It's probably going to be a, you know, a weekend or couple weekend thing where we just run matches back to back. So people may have to denote some time, but it is what it is.
That'll be cool. I think that'll be really entertaining. That's, you know, especially with the mix of pilots we have around here. I think that'll turn into some really good looking stuff.
So just waiting on these guys to finish up RTB, and Swimmers is coming off of downwind onto right base and is now looking to be on finals for Sanaki.
Comey, you need to find us an apparel sponsor so we can get some suits to wear here.
Yeah, exactly. Comey, we need to make a contract where you're sending us some clothing, and we can
find us some nice European suit manufacturer to sponsor us, and we'll be all set there.
I'd be down for that. Guys, I am not a mustache man. I don't know how much my wife would appreciate that. She may look at me with a little weird. Swimmers putting it down. Nice landing. Center line. Nice and smooth. Air brake coming out at the very end. And that is all she wrote for round 1. So not going to watch the other two come back. I'm going to flip this to talk show real quick while I get everything set up for the next round. I'm going to kill the server. How do you think the next round's going to go, Joel, while I get all this set up?
Well, I think with the addition of the 6th pilot for 36, I think you're going to see them possibly be even more aggressive now, being down 1 in the match here. You know, I think, you know, it goes back to Harkins the football aspect. You know, you're down by a point here. You need to throw the ball, not run it. So I think you're going to see them come out and be a little aggressive just so they can stay alive in this and force a 3rd round, you know.
You're going to have to ramble here for a minute as I get this stuff set up.
Certainly, certainly. Well, I mean, I think, you know, and it's going to be key for 59 to, I think, come out and do the same thing they did. They did a very good job of playing, or of, you know, fighting position tactics there and staying in, you know, almost every time I saw 3 guys cold, there were 3 guys coming in hot to cover him. And I think we see that time and time again here on SATAL, that having that group coming in and having that other group back to cover them as they egress is really a key tactic and element to this whole thing. So will they continue to do that as well as they did? If so, I think it's going to be very difficult for 36 to pull this out unless they can find a way to break through that.
Almost done.
Awesome. Well, I think, you know, it's cool this week too, you know, not having the weather play as big of a factor. You know, I think the last 2 weeks we've had weather be a factor. Nice to have some clear skies this week.
You know, that's another thing that we should ask chat about. What do you guys think about the weather? Do you like the different dynamic weathers that happen on the server? Again, this is for next year. Or do you like it more when it's clear skies? What's your guys' opinion on that? How do you feel about the weather situation? Come on, I got way too many windows open. Where's TAC view? Grab TAC view. Let's jump to the TAC view scene here. Okay, good enough. You're not gonna load? Sorry guys, just getting the TAC view stuff rocking. We'll jump back to the talk show for a second as I try and figure out why this isn't working.
I agree with Irish Fight. I think the random factors that keep the pilot on their toes is a good way of, you know, keeping the balance there. Everyone's got to kind of deal with that, and people deal with it different.
Okay, we got the TAC view going now. So let's see what happened in this round. Let's jump. I want this. Sorry, guys. Let's see what happened here and where shit hit the fan for these two teams. So, nothing really happened at the beginning of this round. Lots of missiles being exchanged here. Long-range AIM-9s, which I really wasn't a huge fan of. Narrow misses coming from Swimmer here on this ER, but I think it was on RJF or El Rey, so it wasn't really a factor for him. Here's the ER that was actually on Swimmer. Both teams playing very defensive initially here. I thought we were going to get some in close engagements when Spike pressed there on 36th, but no. And this was the missile volley that I was talking about from 36 when they all turned hot. And it just, yeah, it makes sense, but it was all, most of the missiles were on one guy, and it just didn't pan out. Here's the end deep engagement from Spike. He thinks better of it, doesn't get any kills. If that was probably a 120B instead of an AIM-9, that might have gotten him, but it just ran out of energy way too fast for it to be effective. And after this is when shit hit the fan. So RJF gets in here deep on AirCog. And he's just so close that the missile has tons of energy by the time it reaches him. And Gnalma just foxes on RJF too late. It's like he doesn't... And this, I think, is the lack of not having GCI, where he wasn't able to find RJF fast enough. And by the time he finds him, it's just too late. RJF's able to determine, hey, I've been locked up. I can line of sight this missile. Oh, no, he does get hit. So he doesn't... There's not enough time. So he's not able to line of sight it. I'm sorry, guys. He does eat that ET. So Gnalma able to avenge his fallen comrade. El Rey here on this ER almost eats it. He's able to get into a notch and dump chaff enough that was well done. Well done on Drigo to surprise him, almost get him. That's unfortunate, but well done on El Rey being able to get around and dump that missile. So going forward, 59th still has 5 pilots, while 36th has 4. Italicus is just down here. I don't know what he's doing. He's not doing anything, really. So this is when Ganalma and Drigo press in too deep, and this is what we talked about. This is what I talked about, where they just lose their situational awareness again, probably with not having GCI here, where Ganalma and Drigo just get in too late. Ganalma's surrounded by 4. Yes, he takes down. Who does he take down? He takes down Maffers here. Yes, he does do that, but he gets in so deep that there's not a lot that can be done. And as soon as he comes in, Spike comes in on his tail, and that's really all she wrote. Swimmers, if we back up here for a second, dodges this 77 and the 73. I don't know if he line of sighted it or what, but yeah, this is just unfortunate for Ganalma. He just gets in too deep and can't do anything. And at the same time, Swimmer is able to dodge those missiles and then turn the tables on Drigo, and Drigo pays for it against that 120B, which is much more difficult to dodge than those 77s. So if we keep going, one other guy dies. I think it's El Rey. Gets in. No, it is... Sorry. Ghost Rider takes down Italicus with a 120B. He just gets in too close before he defends and puts an aim 9. And guys, if this is a 120B instead of an aim 9, Ghost Rider probably dies here. So it's really important to make sure you make the correct missile choice. Yeah, they're close enough that aim 9 could be effective, but they're easy to flare. So if we jump over here, 59 still has 4 pilots remaining. Merge with El Rey and Evil. And Evil just takes the close range aim 9. So, and he actually exchanges. So Evil actually exchanges with El Rey. Evil gets, I think that's probably a 73 off the rail. I think. Yeah, it's a 73. So he gets it off right before he dies, and El Rey dies. But they still have 3 pilots remaining, and that's all she wrote for round 1. So let's jump to round 2 here. Teams should be joining in. And we'll get caught up on the donations and the follows and all that stuff here after I get situated in the server. So to catch up, we had a couple follows. Venom ZA, thanks for the follow. Jetson, thanks for the follow. Half Inch Soul is on like a weekly, it's like a, I don't know, it's like his habitual thing, man. He donates $10 every week. Tells me to wake up. Maybe he's telling you. I don't know. Maybe he's telling Stash Man to wake up. But thanks, man. I appreciate that. That just goes back into making this stream better. So, IK Yokel, or you. That's how I'm going to pronounce your name. Thanks for the follow. Hopefully you guys are all enjoying the show. We're getting round 2 set up. We're going to stay here on Tbilisi to watch these guys depart, just because it's easier. Tbilisi's a little more open, and we'll get back into the action. So let's jump into it. I need to update the scoreboard. Boom. And boom.
Surprised we haven't had any comments on the scoreboard updating.
I think they've given up. They just know that I'm worthless and can't do it. Make sure we've got both teams in, that we do. All right, so we do see here that 36th indeed does have 6 pilots. No, they don't. They only have 5. So maybe they're going 5 again. I don't know. Let's find out. Both teams are spooling.
I'm only counting 5 right now. It does not look like they have the 6.
Irish Fight 76 says, damn this Ace Combat music. Yeah, the nostalgia, but the 7th one is coming out here relatively soon. They've had a couple new trailers. It's coming.
I think Steam is the first few days of February, and I think everything else is like the end of January, the 18th to the 28th or something around there. I think it's got an 8 in it. Should be interesting to see how that is. Looks like it could be pretty cool.
Oh, Harley Bob, I'm sorry. I just forgot to change the stream name. It's week 28. The stream's just titled wrong. That's my fault. But it's a live tac view. '59th, we can see them taxiing here. All F-15s again. 36 says they have a 6th connecting. Don't see anybody connected so far. Have to see what airframe they pick. There's Falcon, so he was able to connect here. So 36 indeed does have 6 pilots.
Well, we'll see if that can help even the table there for 36. Now maybe it allows them to be a little bit more fluid with their tactics, do some different things than they were able to that first round.
Maybe it may also give them the option of running a GCI. And we're just speculating here on whether or not they had one, but flying with 5, I would assume that they wouldn't have a GCI given those circumstances.
Yep, I'd agree with you there.
Comey says he's going to be away next weekend. Man, you just got to tune in on your phone. If you got a significant other or something, just tell him, babe, I don't care. I got to watch the streams. I got to watch my streams. That's all you got to do.
DCS is important. I need this F-14 module.
DCS is life.
For reals.
59th is just finishing up taxiing. Can see Falcon just slotted into a J11, so it looks like 36 is running 5 J11s and a singleton F-15, so it's predominantly F-15 versus J11. Nice east versus west. Joel, they like to comment on your stash.
Oh, they do. I know. I mean, it is what it is at this point. It doesn't really bother me.
We need to have an emote called Mustache Riot or something.
There you go. I think I can craft up something for you.
Dareal, it's... Sorry if I mispronounced your name. I think it's because of player numbers. They had 5 last round, so I don't know. We're not able to tell if they have a GCI or not. We're just speculating based on the number of pilots they had last round that they probably don't. And given that, and the seeming lower amount of situational awareness, granted, we're in a God's eye view, so it's a little bit easier for us to see, and we kind of nitpick and stuff, so nobody take that the wrong way. It just seemed like they didn't have a GCI.
I think it's more to the fighters, the pilot's preference in that situation. I would assume they probably have 5 guys who are really comfortable in J11s and 1 guy who's really comfortable in an F-15. But there may be another reason for that, tactics-wise, that I'm just not seeing.
Yeah, Irish Fight, with what Joel just said. Also, both planes have their significant advantages and disadvantages. The F-15 has the 120Bs, which is obviously the better active in this in comparison to the R-77. So you use them and you fight in the different planes different ways. It just depends, like Joel said, on pilot preference. Both of them in SATAL are pretty evenly balanced. We do that to try and showcase pilot skill. So it doesn't really matter which one you take. Both of them have, like I said earlier, advantages and disadvantages, pros and cons. Let's go check to see what 36 is doing, if they're ready to go. They're finishing up taxiing. There is water. And it looks like the majority of the guys from 36, they're taking, well, not all of them. Evil's taking 4 ERs. Just checking the loadouts here, guys. So the majority of 36, with the exception of Evil and Italicus, because they're in, Italicus is in an F-15, are taking a split between 2 ERs and 77s. Comey, I have a tendency to, like, bounce my leg, so I guess I'm vibrating, if you want to put it that way. Falcon taxiing up to the lead. Looks like he's going to lead the flight out. Poncho Spectro. Yo. Welcome.
Hey, Poncho. How you doing, bud?
Looks like they're taking active, so we're just waiting on them finishing up. 59th has said they're ready. And we'll get round 2 underway.
Thomas wants to aim 54 and 120 Ds.
Hey, so you want this to be like no visual fight. We just fox on people and they just die. We don't get to see anything as spectators.
It's like long range sniping for air combat.
Yeah. Long range sniping with aimbots.
Yeah.
Asking if 36 is ready, and we'll get this show on the road for round 2.
Let's get it on.
And we'll see if 36 can bring back the equalizer to equalize this 1-1. 36 versus 59th. Right now, 36 with the lead, 1-0 in a best of 3.
36 seemed hungry enough the last round.
They did.
They were aggressive. It was not for a lack of aggression. You know, they lost that fight. We can maybe say almost too aggressive at times, but I think with the addition of a 6th fighter, that may be in their benefit this go round.
So, fights on for round 2 of week 28. I'm anxious to see if 36 is able to equalize this, because we all like to see round 3. I think we all get a little disappointed just not being able to see a round 3 when the match ends after 2 rounds.
We'll see if the terrain ends up being a factor. I don't think we saw any missiles get defeated due to terrain last round. Maybe towards the end there might have been one.
I saw a couple 73s, especially when Ganalma and Drigo were going into that engagement. Just balls to the wall. It looked like there was some 73s that flew into the ground.
Gotcha. Well, we'll see how much that continues to be a factor in this round, whether these guys keep the elevation in the fight or take things down into these mountains here. Definitely have some more to work with than we have had in the previous few weeks, so.
'59th has departed. Saw the messages that 36 departed moments earlier. '59th again in 2-3 ships.
Yeah, looks like we got decent separation here between those two flights as well.
36th is in 3-2 ships.
And we'll see how that factors in. It's interesting to see. We have now, I think this is the first time in the last few weeks we've had a definitive 2-3 ships and 3-2 ships versus each other. So curious to see how that shakes up here.
Comey, who the hotshots? I don't know a lot about these two teams. I think on this side, it's Falcon and Drigo for 36th. I think. Falcon usually leads them out. Gnalma's, I think, the team lead. He usually does all the communications with us for SATAL. On this side, honestly, I don't know about 59th. The easiest way for you to figure out who the hotshots are would be to look at the merge stats and look at the two teams and see what the player statistics are for all the pilots on both teams. Joel, do you mind looking at that real quick while we're watching these guys ingressing?
I'm already halfway there, my friend.
So yes, we are in a 6v6 now. 36 was able to get a 6 pilot. They have 5 J11s now and a single F-15, while 59th has 6 F-15s. So it's a predominantly an East versus West matchup here.
36th, you're looking at your ace is Falcon with 10 kills on the year and 6 deaths. Your best ratio is probably going to be Evil with 7 kills, 3 deaths. And we will check out 36. Which it looks like 36th had also flew. Oh, no, sorry, I'm misreading that there.
It looks like for whatever reason, the live TAC view stopped or it wasn't running, I guess. I just brought it up so you guys should be able to get it. Apologies about that. So you got Falcon. I'm sorry, I missed that. Falcon is the leader on hotshot on 36.
Yes, and then you have Evil also with a better ratio with 7 kills, 3 deaths, as I believe Falcon had 6 deaths to go along with those 10 kills. And then on the 59th Ravens roster, you're not looking at any specific leader in the clubhouse, at least check that one more time. Oh, pardon me. RJF, 7 kills, 9 deaths was your kill leader. And the ratio, your best ratio is probably Decoy, which I don't know if he's even flying today at 2 kills, 2 deaths. So.
Okay, so going back to some news. If you guys missed it earlier, and we'll relaunch it. Heapler showed a new video showcasing the A6 Intruder AI. They also announced that there's going to be a announcement of some sort coming on October 7th. They've got a countdown on Heapler.com, so be sure to look for that. We have Heapler on next week to do a Tomcat giveaway. I would assume they're going to be here for a question and answer. Spread the word there. It'll be after the match. It's a big match next week. Who flies again next week, Joel? It's
next week is Ta. It's not the R.
It's Ta versus Chinese Festival.
There you go. And then the last week is going to be RVE versus SF. And I believe both of these next 2 weeks are pivotal not for people trying to make the playoffs. The playoff picture is pretty complete at this point, but what we have here is seeding. There's teams jockeying around for different seeding, which gives you a bye, and basically just having that higher seed is the best situation you want to be in. So it's going to be interesting these last 2 weeks here.
So while we've got more time, I'll take this time to, as we always do, thank our sponsors. TACView, Lot ATC for all their contributions, TACView for their end-of-the-year prizes, Lot ATC for making Lot ATC a possibility to run during all of these events, Buddy Spike for all of his stuff that he did. We've done some giveaways in the past. We might do them in the future. If you guys haven't checked any of these guys out, make sure you click the panels down below to check out everything that they offer. We've got Sky Knights. They're doing a giveaway. A lot of the giveaways, guys, that we're going to do here on stream for hardware and stuff is going to take place later if we've got anything. Probably during the finals, the end of the year tournament, stuff like that. And of course, Heapler for their end of the year contributions and really making this possible. Again, they'll be on next week. Make sure you tune in, spread the word. I know we get most of our viewership when Heapler's on. It's always exciting to have them on and talk about the Tomcat. So make sure you're here next week. Spread the word to all your friends. Joel and I will be here. I know you guys here are here just to see our pretty faces and Joel's stash, but make sure you're here next week to win a Tomcat.
The only thing they care about with me is the stash. I'm pretty sure the rest of it they could give a hell about.
Separation now is down to under 100 kilometers. Looks like 59th is coming up here through contrails, passing 10,000, increasing up through 11,000. Cons look to be rather high this week.
And we've pushed pretty far south right now. This is interesting in itself, just to see where they've kind of dragged this match in comparison to the last one, although pretty similar. I think we were a little bit closer to Bullseye last track. And it looks like that rear 2 flight has now turned somewhat hot on the 2-3 ships of 36. Or 59th, pardon me.
So 59 or 36th again is trying to take this fight down to the south. Now, what they're trying to accomplish with this, I'm not entirely sure. Let's see the teams yet. There they are. But we also have this group of from 36, Italicus and Aircog, breaking off here. And it looks like they're just either delaying or trying to come in undetected on a flank on 59th. It doesn't look like 59th have seen them yet. GCI probably has. But they may try and get 59th tunnel visioned on the main force of Gnalma, Evil, Falcon, and Drigo, and then use Aircog and Italicus to come in on a flanking maneuver, more than likely from the north, so possibly behind, on the 59th main grouping. They're also forcing 59th to make a decision on how to deal with this. So if they can get at least a couple guys to separate off onto Aircog and Italicus, it gives the south grouping a numerical advantage. However, if all of these guys press on the south grouping, it's going to be a problem until the other 2 ship from 36 can regroup and form back up with the main unit.
We know that 59th has a GCI, and it does not appear as if that first 3 flight has broken off yet. So you almost think he's forcing them to, he's not going to play their game. They're not going to go deal with that up there. They're going to stay on this 4 group. And here we go, shot out, first one.
Long distance ER. It's not too bad, 25 kilometers. And I think this is the correct approach. I like that 59th is staying hot and using the advantage they have in numbers to press the 4 ships. So it's a 6v4 down here. The only thing they have to be careful about here is to not get flanked and not be in a vulnerable position when this 2 ship of Aircog and Italicus come in from the northwest.
And I think that's the benefit of the GCI right there. You know, those guys aren't worrying about that right now. That guy's watching those 2 fighters, making sure that, you know, somebody's going to be tasked to deal with that when they get close enough. And 59th doing a really good job of staying in that 3 attacking, 3 covering, you know, tactics, and it worked really well for them the first round, and it seems like staying with it is what they're going to do here.
Right. Now, Comey brings up a good point, kind of questioning 59th should be splitting. What they could have done here is 59th could have pressed through numerical advantage and taken all 6 if they did see that north, and they still could do this on the 2 ship up north, and to press all 6 against Italicus and Aircog. Because really what you want to do is you want to drive a fight into where you have the advantage, and the easiest way to do that is numbers. So if they took all 6 guys, or even 3 or 4, and pressed against this 2 ship while staying away from the southern 4 ship of 36th, dealt with this swiftly and then regrouped and came down here to the south, that's another way to do this. But they want to use numbers in some way, shape, or form to get some type of advantage in this fight.
Here we go, shot out up to the north here. That 2 flight is now engaging the 3 flights just south of.
And Italicus is very high. That 120B is going to have a lot of energy by the time it reaches RJF. He's in trouble defending this late. Is he going to be able to notch it? He's in a vertical notch. Whoa. No! He gets hit. So the 2 ship coming in here, they came in really fast. And that 120B launched from Italicus had a ton of energy and RJF pays with his life for defending late.
And 36 snags one early here. Let's see if they can take that and use it to their advantage now, just win the numbers game. That was a key move there.
ET inbound on Swimmer. He's not defending it yet. He's cut power now. There go the flares. Should be a non-factor. It's out of energy anyway, even though it's still tracking. He turns cold. But why did the 59th guys, Maffer, Spike, and Ghost Rider, why are they so separated down here?
Yeah, that's what I was just asking myself, is why are they just now starting to get in here as the cavalry and help out this remaining 2 flight to the north? 36 doing a good job of keeping a wall there and keeping some guys hot and keeping some guys cold right now.
So we're down to a 6v5, 36 with the advantage here. R77 coming off a Drigo onto Swimmer. And I don't think that's going to be a factor by the... Yeah, he notched it. It's dead. But that ET, that's going to be trouble for Swimmer because that thing's going to have enough energy. We can see it there in the background. I think it's going to have the energy to reach him. He's not flaring. He's still in gate. He's turning, cutting the distance of that ET. Didn't see it come by.
That's in front of him now. Wow. Good
so it
there.
does go by him. It didn't have the energy to stay with him. He got lucky there, not flaring.
It looks like he may have timed that well too. I'm not sure if that was the GCI coming into factor there, giving him the call out when to turn it.
Well, the GCI and mod ATC, you don't see missile launches like you do in the
gotcha.
DCS one, which is one of the reasons we use it, because we didn't see that as realistic. 120B coming off of Italicus on El Rey, but I don't think that's going to be a factor, as El Rey's already defending 120B in response from El Rey coming off on Ganalma. That's a long 120B shot, so it's not going to have much energy by the time it reaches Ganalma. Ganalma doesn't... Now he knows that it's coming. It went Pitbull. So we can see him dropping all kinds of countermeasures. Ganalma, I don't think you need to be that aggressive with your countermeasure deployment there. But 59th is regrouped. All 5 are together. 36 is much more spread out with their 6 remaining pilots. And the fight, unlike last round, has descended into a much lower level engagement. The altitude wasn't maintained. Everybody's much lower. ET coming off of Falcon onto El Rey. That's not going to be a factor. I think it's on El Rey. It could be on Spike. I think it's actually on Spike. Spike's in gate. That ET could be trouble if he doesn't defend. Spike may be in trouble here. He's level. I think he's there it is. So no wings. He's still in the air. He's rolling over. I think he's just fast enough that his plane just doesn't matter, but he's dead. Yes, Spike's dead. So need to periodically flare there. That's why Spike ate it there. He was in gate the whole time. Even though the ET didn't have a lot of energy, it was able to just fly straight and level and pound Spike right in the face.
Well, we'll see what a 2-man advantage can do for 36 here. We'll see what 59th can do to hang in there at this point. 2 crucial losses early on here in this round.
So another ET looks like it was on Maffers, but the Maffers looks to be... It lost lock on him. 120B coming off his rail on what looks to be somebody in his front, Ganalma, who's now defensive. So the engagement's getting a little bit closer here. 4 pilots remaining for 59th, 6 still remaining for 36th. Maffers gets an ET, 2 ETs launched on him, but he's already cold.
Yeah, 59th is really going to have to try to find a way to pick off 2 of these guys here and even these numbers out if they have any shot at the...
Four ship of Falcon, Evil, Aircog, and Ganalma extending together. Ganalma does look hot. Evil looks to be coming in hot with him. ER coming in. Drigo, he's got a decent amount of energy on that ER launch, so El Rey could be in trouble. He's still not defending. Now he is. But that ER still got a lot of energy. Is he going to be able to notch it? No. So we're down to 3 pilots now for 59th.
And 36 really doing something with that even numbers matchup now, really showing what they can do when they have all their guys present. This has been impressive.
I think a lot of it is they've been giving their missiles ample chance to reach their target. They're coming in at high speeds, giving their missiles more energy, high altitudes, which is just giving an advantage to the missile as it tracks, because you want it to have more energy as it reaches its target so that it can be able to maneuver with the target instead of just going dead. 120B off the rail from Swimmer on Drigo as he recommits. Drigo, is he in trouble? No, that missile didn't have enough energy when it reached him. He may have notched it on top of that, but it wasn't a factor by the time it reached him. So again, 3 pilots remaining for 59th, 6 still for 36th. 59th is in a bit of trouble. And one of their guys, Swimmer, just flew into the ground. Oh, no.
Ooh. Never good. Hate seeing that.
120B off the rail from Metallicus on Maffers. Maffers responds with what looked like an aim 7 or aim 9. I think he might be in trouble. Is he getting into a notch? He's trying to.
Looks like he just narrowly escaped.
I think he just got away from it.
But it looks like there is a train of missiles following him.
Yeah.
None of which with enough energy. Though.
No. R-77's being used outside of the needed launch params. We may have a head-to-head between Gnalma and Ghost Rider here down to the south. Gnalma... Ghost Rider doesn't see Gnalma. He's got an ET on him, and I think this is the end for Ghost Rider as he comes in here. He's not going to know that. Yep, there's the ET, takes him down.
Well, folks, Maffers, the lone man against 5 or 6, 36 fighters? 6 fighters, yeah. Yeah, this is a small, low odds, low probability of him coming out of this one, but we'll see what he's got.
So ER coming off the rail. I think that's from Falcon or Italicus. Maffers is in a world of trouble. He's trying to stay hot. Got to be a little more aggressive with those maneuvers, though. And we see that ER pound him in the face and say, you're going down.
And we get the scoreboard leveled after that one, folks.
Yep. 1-1. Well, they do have to land.
Correct. We'll see how good fuel management was, but just based upon the length of that, I get the feeling that those guys probably got enough gas in the tank for one of them to make it back.
I would think so. I don't think fuel's going to be any type of problem for them to RTB to Sanaki.
Yep, I'd agree with that. Interesting. Well, I think one of my favorite parts, as we like to say around here, the formation game certainly played an interesting factor in the beginning with that 2 flights by 36 drawing away, eventually. I don't think as early on as maybe they would have liked, but I think eventually 59 bit into that, and that may have been their demise early on as far as losing that first fighter.
Yeah, that Northern 2 ship played a role in that. They were able to maintain their energy, like I said earlier, give their missiles enough advantage, or try and give their missiles an advantage coming from high and fast to reach their target. And that's exactly what they did. Those missiles that they launched at the beginning of that engagement, I think it was, I don't remember who was the first casualty from 59th, but that first missile had a lot of energy. I think it was Drigo launched it, and it had a lot of energy by the time it reached its target, and that spelled doom for the 59th pilot that was on the receiving end of it.
Yeah, and I think that was a good point you made earlier. There was much better timed shots out of 36 this round. I think they held their composure, held on a little bit longer, and fired that shot, giving the missile more to work with as it went on target there. I think that was a factor in this one as well.
Just watching these guys RTB. Looks like some of them are regrouping. Evil may be regrouping with Italicus. Aircog's just on his merry way. RTB to make to Sanaki here.
I would tend to agree with you there, Comey. 59th may have lost that, but I think credit should be given to 36 coming out and with like I said, keeping that 2 group to the north and executing that separation as well as they did. It forced 59th to have to do something that I don't think they necessarily wanted to do initially. I get the feeling the GCI did not want to have to deal with that in that manner. So how that factored in, I don't know.
Drigo looks to be regrouping with Falcon. See if we can watch this. So Joel, what do you think could have been done? We've touched on it a little bit. What do you think 36th could have done better in that round? I know they won, but what do you think they could have done better to maybe better capitalize some of the advantages
they
had?
were better about their shot timing. I still saw quite a bit of shots out over great distances there, so maybe continue to work on cleaning that up and having a little bit more composure with when you're shooting, you know, when you're making that decision to shoot, I should say. But I think having that extra man really helped them out this time and being able to maybe do what I think they initially wanted to do.
Now, when you're saying extra man, you're saying from the early casualty that 59th had in the early engagement.
Yes.
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of long-range AIM-9, not as many AIM-9s during round 2, but a lot of long-range AIM-9 and R-77 shots where you're launching missiles. Yes, you have launch authorization, but you're not really giving the missile or putting it in a position where it's going to be effective when it reaches its target.
Yeah, and I definitely feel like I saw less of that out of both teams this round, which were those desperation shots where you see a missile's coming on you and you almost fire one just trying to get something off. And as where I think majority of the time that just ends up being a waste of a missile, where occasionally you end up getting lucky and maybe popping somebody as you make that quick shot. But I think it's almost better to just worry about evading there, you know?
Yeah, but yeah, a lot of the missiles that I saw, though, that were launched outside of adequate parameters were ones that were on cold bandits, that you're putting R-77s and AIM-9s on guys at distances that the missile's just not going to have the energy by the time it reaches its target.
Oh yeah, and you're pushing guys back that don't need to be pushed back. You know, he's already cold. He's moving away from you. You know, firing that shot at that point, even if it's, you know, you're just trying to reposition them is pretty much a waste at that point, right?
Right. Continuing to watch these guys RTB. As soon as they land, it'll be the completion of round 2, where if they land, it'll be one even apiece, so one apiece, 36th and 59th, and a best of 3. So we'll go to round 3 as long as these guys can land, which, barring something catastrophic like all of them running out of fuel or running into each other, that shouldn't be an issue. Let's get caught back up on follows. So Poncho Spectro, Stephen Taft Jr., Varial, Glue VN, Crazy Ninja 323, and Captain Carter, welcome. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. If you guys aren't familiar, if anybody's not familiar with what SATAL is, it's a squadron-only 6v6 where squadrons compete to see who's the best. We run one match a weekend. So we've been running this for 28 weeks. We started in February. It's coming to an end. We've got 2 matches after this, next week and the 15th, and then we take a few weeks off, and then we start back up at the end of the year tournament, which starts October 6th, I believe, and through the 27th, and we're running 2 matches a day at those times during those days, starting at 1500 Zulu, and the second match is going to be at 1800 Zulu. The schedules aren't out yet, but the times are. We just don't know who's flying when. So be sure to hang around, be here for those. We're going to try and have Heapler on, I hope, for every day, but I've still got to work some stuff out with them to see if we can get that stuff under control, but lots more to come.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited for the playoffs. It's going to be cool to see the better teams play each other each week, and each match having quite a bit of an importance to it. It's going to be fun.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily the better teams. I think all the teams are good. I think it's more of single elimination. So there's more on the line, where if you lose, you're done. And because there's a prize pool, because Heapler generously donated 500 euros and 6 modules to first and second place, and TactView did 6 advanced licenses for first place, and I think 3 for second. There's stuff on the line. Like, it's not just we're doing this for guts and glory. There is prize money, modules, and TactView licenses on the line for the winning teams. So it's guys want to win. It's not just, hey, I want bragging rights to say I won SATAL. It's I want the money, I want modules, I want all this stuff. So there's a little more going on here.
And I think that definitely ups the ante in these matches, and just that stuff being on the line alone makes it more competitive and more entertaining, probably would be if nothing was on the line there, so at least it keeps these guys hungry and out there moving.
Well, that's the hope, right?
Indeed.
So
I'm curious to see what changes each team makes heading into this third round here. Now that each have had a decent chance to see each other for one round here, and I think you could see possibly some changes to try to react to what each other side is doing.
So I wonder who's going to be the first team to land. We've got two ships, and then Aircog and Italicus are on their own. Lacey Seal says you can't buy bragging rights. No, you can't.
It's true.
But
it's very true.
There is a little more on the line than bragging rights.
Yeah, bragging rights won't get you in an F-14 on DCS World now, will it?
At least not a free one.
That's true. Fair enough.
Looks like these guys are going to go to a straight-in approach. Aircog's descending. He's still pretty fast, but he's down through 3,000. Is he going to just come in, or is he going to go around? Falcon and Drigo look like they're going to come for a straight-in. At least that's my assumption here. Can we see them? Yeah.
All right.
So Falcon and Drigo going to lead it in here. And as soon as these guys land, I'm going to shut down the server, jump to the talk show, and then we'll get the TAC view going. And in the meantime, I'm actually probably going to play the fan movie, or not the fan movie, the promo from Heatblur, just so that anybody that hasn't seen it can see it. And let me know what you guys think about it in chat. What do you guys think they're gonna announce on the 7th? Is it going to be pre-orders? The F-14 coming that early? I don't know. It'd be exciting if it was. Nice landings coming from these two from 36. Looks like it was Falcon and Drigo. So let's go ahead and shut down the server. I'm going to throw you guys to check out this video. Enjoy. And I'll see you guys back here in a few minutes. All right, guys, welcome back. We got a new follow, Ricardo H. Thanks for the follow, man. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. Let's jump right into the attack view recap here on this matchup. So things start pretty slow. We can see the separated two ship of Italicus and Aircog up to the north. They kind of get into it down here to the south, but this is where they had a numerical advantage from the 59th, but I think RJF just makes a mistake. He doesn't defend until too late. We've seen this a lot in the past, not just with 59th, but with a lot of teams. They don't anticipate that a weapon's coming. They wait until they get the warning, and if that missile has a lot of energy, by the time you get the Pitbull missile warning, it's too late. So he defends too late and pays for it. Italicus's missile has a ton of energy by the time it reaches him, and he can't do anything about it. So we'll keep going for the next engagement. Swimmer gets lucky there. This is the next one. And we talk about this time in and time out, where you got to think that ETs are coming when you're flying against a group of Su-27s or J-11s. You got to anticipate they're coming. So we see El Rey dropping flares. He may have seen the launch, but Spike may have just been looking at his MFD or something. Doesn't flare, still in gate. He is in an F-15, and it looks like he was looking at his radar because he was looking at Falcon, gets a 120B off on a Cold Bandit. I would have liked to see that on Drigo, but what can you do? So we see El Rey get he does get a 120B off on Drigo, but Drigo anticipates it and turns cold. So nothing happens there. 4 pilots remaining for 59th. And again, this is the same thing. Drigo just defending too late from El Rey, and you can't defend that late. ER is going to have even more energy than a 120B, and he just pays for it. Defends too late, has a ton of energy. It's able to stay with him, doesn't get into a notch soon enough, and dies. So right here, this is where Swimmer, I don't know what happened here. Maybe it was just he was looking at something. Maybe he was too low, and he just flies into the ground. As Comey said, he lawn darts and dies. So here's another one. ET again. Ghost Rider. We didn't see really any ETs get anybody the first round. 59th did a really good job of anticipating him, but it hasn't been that case in round 2. Another ET takes down Ghost Rider off of Ganalama. He's just not paying attention. Looks like he was looking heads down at Aircog and his radar, and he dies. And then the last remaining bandit is Maffers, and he eats an ER, just defends too late, can't do anything about it. Missile has too much energy, and he pays for it with his life. So let's jump to the SATAL view. I've got to jump into the server here, and let's get back into it. We're going to watch 36th apart because we watched 59th last time. So let's jump into the server and see what everybody is doing. Update the scoreboard. We are in round 3. And we are 1 match apiece for both teams here. And Joel, last round there, it just seemed like 59th lacked the situational awareness and the organization that they seem to have in round 1.
Well, to me, it seemed like they were hesitant to deal with that extra 2 chip. I get the feeling, at least this is just me, that threw off what their plan was. And the moment they had to kind of make an adjustment to deal with that, I think it took them away from what they were trying to do in the first place. And they may not have ever really been able to get back to that position throughout that fight. And what we saw was just a result of that.
Yeah, they did have to make that decision, and that could have just thrown them, like you said, thrown them for a loop in trying to make the decision on how to deal with it. And that early loss from RJF, that was unfortunate. And getting those early losses, they're demoralizing because you're like, crap, it's still really early in the round. We lost a pilot already, and it's really hard to come back from. So kudos.
That's a very good point too that you just brought up there, and I think one that we don't necessarily talk about as much here is how losing that pilot affects the mental aspect of everyone else in that squadron fighting. Now they're down a guy, and that I think has a bigger impact than maybe we allude to here sometimes.
Yeah, and kudos to both teams. I mean, we're one round apiece. Both teams have flown a single round well, and flying that round well has resulted in them coming out on top, victorious in that round. So we're 1 round apiece. This is the deciding round for this. This is a big round for 36th, because if they win, it puts a lot of pressure on RVE in their fight against SF. And depending on the KD, the kill to death ratio, and how all that pans out, they may leapfrog RVE depending on how they do against SF. If RVE doesn't come out on top against SF, you know, RVE may fall down to 4th place and 36 may jump to 3rd. 59th, unfortunately, is already out. They don't have the needed wins to get into, or the needed position to get into the end of the year tournament. But they have been flying well.
Something to be said for finishing the year strong with a victory, though, especially when you don't have one on the record for the year. You know, that's like you're saying, you know, that they've made progress throughout the year. So this is a good opportunity for them to maybe finish out the season on a good note and, you know, start thinking about the next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's see how both teams, if 36th is able to continue on their win streak of 1, or if 59th is able to come back from that loss in the second round and bring it to a 2-1 victory after their first round win. Let's see how... Do we have 6 in on both teams? We do. So both teams are ready to spool. And both teams now should be spooling and getting their taxi on.
Well, once again, we'll see if the formations differ. I believe they've run basically the same formations this entire time, with the exclusion of the first one due to 36 being down a guy. But even with that, it's very, very similar the way they've run things. So we'll see. You know, last time it was the deciding factor to move one of those flights in a different position than the other two. So we'll see how that factors in here, if maybe they go with a different formation or they stay with the same thing and just try to position a little differently to kind of confuse 59th again.
You know, something that we didn't touch on, and I touched on it during the live stream, was there was separation at some point during the last round of a 3-ship on the 59th side that was just way out of the picture. And I don't know what happened there, but they just became a non-factor in the engagement and just kind of alienated the other 3-ship from the 59th side. And I think that too is going to play a role, and did play a role in deciding the outcome during round 2.
And that 59th, I believe they have the GCI, so we'll see whether that was, you know, just the GCI struggling to kind of corral guys into where he needed them, things kind of getting lost in the shuffle and shifting to the south where he was focused maybe on that flight, you know, that engagement up to the north there. So we'll see if maybe he can shepherd his flock a little better this time and get these guys in position.
Just watching these guys taxi. Looks like they're taking a different taxi approach here. Most guys will taxi down to the south on runway 31, but it looks like they're actually taxiing down to runway 13, which we don't usually see.
Yeah, you think
out
that's,
at Tbilisi.
You're just using a little bit, you know, not that it's a huge amount, but enough to maybe be a factor. You're using a little bit more of that fuel to kind of come around and get on course, as opposed to taking the other end of the runway.
Well, it could also be a thing for separation, where maybe they're trying to allow 59th to come further into the bubble.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Looks like they're holding short, runway 13 out of Tbilisi. Looks like they're now taking the active. So we should be starting round 3, deciding round for this matchup here momentarily, once both teams have settled onto the runway.
Also interesting to see where the elevation plays a role in this. The first round, I believe we stayed relatively high for almost the entire round. I think even into the later throws, we're still in the mid to high 20s. As for the last round, things got low and stayed relatively low throughout the entire round. So we'll see where we end up having this battle.
You bring up a good point. I think that could have been detrimental to 59th in that last round, where they lost that altitude that they were able to maintain during round one. And I think you guys as viewers will see that if you give up your altitude, you're giving up a big part of being able to convert that altitude into energy. And because of that, 59th didn't have the energy going into these engagements because they were already low. And they also were restricted on how they could defend because they've taken away defending low. You can't descend. You have to either defend left or right, and it makes it difficult.
It really does, and I think that it's an overlooked aspect of these engagements here, because getting up to altitude takes work, it takes effort. You have to take a little bit more time, bump yourself back, get up, get that elevation after losing it. And I think a lot of the pilots don't want to go through that effort of getting back up there, but it really is worth it at the end of the day, just in what you get out of your shot outs. Your missile shots are going to have so much more energy and momentum by climbing up to that altitude, and it really does. As you see here, so many times that missile streaking across the map, when it comes from above, it just has the energy to hit target.
Just watching these guys depart. The fight's on for the deciding round, round 3 here of week 28 of SATAL. A little bit of a delayed departure from the last remaining guy at a 36th. Who is that? Italicus. So it looks like we're going to see 3-2 ships again out of 36th. I'm going to assume 2-3 ships. Indeed it is, out of 59th here.
Well, each team staying with what's worked so far for them. And like I said, I think it's going to come down to how does the 36th position these 3-2 flights, because I think that was one of the bigger factors last round. They moved that one up high and it really threw the other side off, and we'll see what they do here to possibly recreate that element.
Yeah, what I'd like to see, I just hope that 59th doesn't get in the same situation that they did last time, where the bottom or the trailing 3 ship alienates the lead 3 ship, because we talked about this earlier. I really feel like that was the deciding factor in the downfall of the Ravens in that second round.
Well, I feel like I've observed that running that tactic where you have the 3 always kind of coming back cold to defend the ones that are moving in hot. I feel like if you don't get those turns timed right, and you don't practice that enough, you can in turn leave that flight going in out to dry if you don't get pulled around and on point quick enough. I just feel like that's a very timed balance, and if it's not timed right, it can hurt you more than it helps you.
Watching these guys ingress, still the same thing coming from both teams.
Steve, I believe, and Moltar can elaborate a little more on this. There's a bubble that surrounds starting from Bullseye and out, and once they pass through that bubble, they are in there and cannot leave, I believe, correct?
Yes. So the bubble usually ranges, it depends on the size of the map. Picture like a 75-kilometer radius coming out from the Bullseye, and once you enter the bubble, the teams get a message. Each player gets a message once they've entered the bubble. You cannot leave. If you leave the bubble, you're not allowed to re-enter, and this is to cultivate an atmosphere where teams have to fight each other. We don't want people, coming into an engagement of Senaki versus Tbilisi and then somebody running and just trying to run somebody out of fuel all the way to Makeup. We want to be able to cultivate a fight inside an area, but it's big enough that you can still run and hide. but we don't want somebody running away and disappearing, because that's not fun to watch and it's not fun to fight against. So once you enter the bubble, you're in there to stay. If you leave, you cannot re-enter the fight. If you come back in, your plane immediately blows up. So it's just there to cultivate an atmosphere of competitiveness, which is what we've been trying to foster in SATAL.
Indeed, I think that is one of the core rules here that keeps things as entertaining as it does. Because I think we would see a lot of guys just trying to drag things out. If the option's there, you're going to take it, And it does look like Italicus is lagging behind there. I don't know if maybe just that third 2 flight hasn't formed up yet, but
I think that's the case.
Yeah.
I think it was just
we're seeing that now.
A delayed departure. Maybe Italicus had something going on of what was something happening, but
indeed. And now, is it Ghost Rider? That looks more intentional, what we're seeing on a 59th. Am I correct?
Yes, that does definitely look intentional. Ghost Rider looks to be breaking off the formation from his main 3-ship of Spike, or 2-ship of Spike and Maffers. He's broken off as a singleton and is now headed southeasterly to, I would assume, get into a flanking position to come in from the south on the 36th element. There's also some altitude separation, so he's at 7,000 while the other 2-ship of his previous 4-ship is maintaining 9,000 and ascending. We'll have to see how this progresses as this fight unfolds, as the teams come into an ingress in towards Bullseye.
59th doing pretty good, getting that altitude right now. Most of the guys I think are above 32. The rest shortly follow. Still low for 36th, however. Seems like they're just starting to pass through Angels.
They've got some time now, though. There's still a separation between elements of about 140 kilometers. So they're not too bad. Ghost Rider's still staying lower than the other guys. He's still ascending. He's passing 7.5. But the other 2 ships, 3-ship and 2-ship on the Raven side, is 10,000 and 9.5. So he's still a decent way lower than the rest of his flight.
Yeah, I'm really interested right now to see what 59th is planning on doing with Ghost Rider here. What is his role in this whole thing? And it does seem like we're now seeing a change in heading from the first 2 flight of Drigo and Falcon, which are 2 of their top gunners here. So we'll see if Ghost Rider elects to take them on by himself, or whether 59th does something to dispatch him some assistance in that.
Now, we have seen this in the previous 2 rounds. 36 electing to take the fight further to the south over the lakes. They've done this in both of the previous rounds. I don't know why they're doing this. Maybe to get into this hilly area just south of Bullseye. There's some flat land, though, in here. Wonder why they're electing to do this.
Well, I'll tell you what, if it's me, I would prefer, if I'm fighting a high altitude fight, I'd rather have those mountains there to the bottom to, if I do need to escape down into something, at least that's there, right?
Yeah, that's true. It is flat land up here by Bullseye.
Yep. So you might as well drag it somewhere where, if at the worst case scenario, you can split S and try to hide down there.
They just entered contrails, so they're above 10,000.
And it does seem like this is a very conscious decision from 36 to all three flights now diverting south towards those white caps. And it seems like 59th reluctant to just follow. They really haven't changed their course.
Yeah, and we've seen this come out of them too in all of the rounds. They make a later departure from their main flight line to come down and meet 36th head on.
And we'll see who's really gonna do, who's gonna bend to each other's will here. And it does look like 59th now finally starting to make their heading corrections to put themselves in position for a fight.
Steve-O, the singleton from 59th is Ghost Rider. So we've got the 3-ship of El Rey Swimmer and RJF, and a 2-ship out of Maffers and Spike, with the singleton of Ghost Rider here now in the center, sandwiched between his other elements.
Yeah, I was gonna say, now they're starting to flank the singlet, so he's defended on both sides. This is just interesting to see how this is going to shape up. I want to see what this 3 flight is going to do if they end up getting mixed up with the 2 flight. My money's on the 3 guys there.
Well, it depends on how aggressive they are. I'd like to see if they have a numerical advantage to be aggressive into this instead of turning cold.
Well, aggression seems like what's on 59's mind right now. We got all 6 fighters hot on at least the 2 flight of Trigo and Falcon. I get the feeling we're going to see a shot here soon.
So separation now between the 2 teams is down to under 40 kilometers, so missiles will be coming off the rails here momentarily.
Now they're starting to turn back cold almost. Trigo and Falcon letting Evil and Ganalma pull
But again
up now.
here, Evil and Ganalma are relatively high. They're above 11,000, but so are Swimmer and RJF, but that's a long 120 shot on our already cold bandit. It could just be to keep him cold. Have to see what Ganalma and Evil do down here to the south. They don't have the airspeed in that RJF and Swimmer have. RJF and Swimmer are now defensive. R77 coming off of AirCog. Long shot. That's not going to do anything.
Same from Ghost Rider. Another long shot there as well. Tight pairing of Spike and Maffers. They got shots out now on Ganalma and Evil, but doesn't look like any of those are going to have the momentum to do what they want.
Right.
Well, the first exchange here has been made. Most bandits are cold right now, and they're going to turn around and try this again. So look.
Both teams playing much more like round 1. I like that 59th is seeming to play much more aggressive than they did here in round 2. They're staying much closer together than they did. We're actually seeing what happened. Well, no, we're seeing an inversion of what happened with 36. So instead of the 2 ship being isolated up top, it's now isolated down to the south. And we're just going to have to see how the Ravens deal with this.
If I'm 59th right now, I'm trying to maneuver that far left 3 flight down to cut off Ganalma and Evil, and then let the top 3 deal with those 4 up there if they can.
So we've got Ghost Rider coming in. He's switching back in. He may be pressing the South 2 ship. No. It looks like everybody's pressing this Northern 4 ship at the 36th. But the South 2 ship is still cold. Evil and Ganalma are going over the Whitecaps. ET off the rail. It goes into the ground. So it looks like these guys, some of them are relatively low. I don't know where that ET went. It just died. No, I don't know where it went. It just disappeared. Interesting.
That 4 flight from 36 is spaced between 23 and 36,000 feet, right?
But I do like that we see a much more defensive approach coming from 59th. They're not coming in and flying straight into these ET shots. They're defending at a far enough distance that they don't even necessarily have to drop flares. I like to see this posture coming from 59th. This is good to see.
No, I agree. They're moving very fluidly right now, and I'm curious. Yeah, Evil and Ganalma seem to have extended quite a bit down there, but I don't know if maybe they realized how far.
They've recommitted back in now.
Okay, there we go. And Ghost Rider and Spike seem destined for a matchup here with Evil and Ganalma. Although Spike is way far out there.
Yeah, but Spike may be in a very opportune position to come in on the flank of Ganalma and Evil if Ghost Rider can take and keep Ganalma and Evil's attention.
Indeed, and Maffers looks like he's positioning to be a hand in this whole thing as well. Now we got a shot out on Ghost Rider.
And that may be a... it doesn't look like it's on Ghost Rider. I think that he may have thought it was, but I think it's on El Rey and
right.
RJF. I don't know that they see Ghost Rider here because Ghost Rider is really low, so they actually don't see him. He has line of sight on Ganalma and Evil, but Ganalma and Evil have now turned cold. Both teams continuing to take a very defensive stance coming into this deciding round of round 3.
Yeah, 59th wants this win. You can see it. They're playing cards tight to the vest right here. This is good. Definitely making 36 work for it. No doubt about it.
Ghost Rider's getting in here a little deep. I hope he's not pulling, as we said in round one, Leroy Jenkins going in here by himself, getting all the ads on his own. I really hope that's not what happens, but he's tunnel visioned on what looks to be Drigo. Oh, he's come off Drigo. I think he now sees Italicus. So we may see our first merge of the day. I can't F5 view it yet. They're not close enough. Is there altitude separation here? It looks like Ghost Rider, what are you? Ghost Rider's vertical. Ghost Rider, where are you going?
He's coming straight up after Italicus right now, so it looks.
Is he?
Yo, there was a decent about 20,000 feet when he started that climb.
He does see him, so Ghost Rider does see Italicus. Is he able to maintain visually Italicus here? No. What is going on? Drigo definitely sees a Ghost Rider now. Ghost Rider may be in a world of hurt. That R77 is going to be trouble as he's vertical now descending. Ooh. No, he eats that 77. He just I think he got a little too greedy in there. That vertical stance bled all of his energy, and he didn't have enough energy to defend that.
He tried to sneak up on him. He had a good plan, good intentions, but I think like I said, he tried to cover 20,000 feet plus in that vertical climb there. I just don't know if that was
camera there.
Too much, too little. But nice intentions, though. Certainly evaded by some detection there for a little bit.
Yeah, it was. And we actually missed El-Ray getting splashed by Italicus. So 2 59th guys go down in a short fashion, while 36 still has 6 pilots remaining. ET coming off the rail from Falcon. It looks like, who is that? Spike is already defending. ER and a 77 coming off from Drigo on Maffers.
And you feel that the momentum has shifted to 36 at this point.
You really do.
Just being down 2 in that one maneuver, and you can almost make the point that Ghost Rider may have jeopardized the teammate by drawing himself out in the open there as much as he did. It's a crucial moment so far in the match right there, though.
Well, the problem there is Ghost Rider puts himself in a very vulnerable position. And as a teammate, you feel it's your duty to try and save him. But when you do that, you yourself trying to save your wingman, put yourself in a position that you yourself become the victim because you're trying to save somebody, but you, to save them, have put yourself in a very precarious position and now become the target of everybody's aggression from the opposition.
Indeed. All too common.
So again, 59th, 4 pilots remaining, while 36 has not had any of their guys taken down. And we see a lawn dart from Swimmers again. I don't know if he's just disconnecting or what happens, but he's gone. It says he crashed. That's unfortunate. RJF, does he see Ganalma? No, he doesn't. Does he see him now?
He might have just picked him up as he put that shot out, and he's back. He's bought himself some time there. That's for sure.
Do you see him, RJF? You do. So he's going nose on.
Drigo pushing on Maffers right now. Notching him pretty good, although I think he just picked up on.
But I think Ganalma is in a world. Oh, RJF breaks off. Got to press that advantage. Maffers is in trouble here with Drigo on his 6. Falcon coming into the play here, into the fray. RJF, I think he needed to press his advantage there, but decides to break it off.
I think that was one of their better opportunities to maybe try to stay in this, and they need to snipe somebody off here though, because if they don't even the numbers out quick, this could get ugly. There's a 3 flight looking like it's hunting for RJF.
Yeah, they are. We still have the singleton of Drigo on Maffers, and Falcon looks like he's broken off and is now head-to-head with Spike.
Yep, and then Spike putting out a long aim.
Can't pick up Spike yet. Can't pick him up. Where are you at? Got him now. But it looks like Spike is able to maintain a hot aspect, but eats. I'm going to assume that was an IR missile coming off the rail from Falcon.
Like
so we're down to 2v6 now, and RJF is in a pretty bad situation up here with Ganalma. He may be low enough. He may have line of sight of Gnolma here.
We got ourselves a 59 sandwich coming here, folks. Look at this. The Sharks are circling around. These two look like they're pulling right into the center of this circle, and this could get ugly and quick here.
Long 73 shot going on Maffers, but it may be all she wrote here for Maffers as he comes in up high. Does he know that 73 is there? Was he able to line of sight it?
RJF took one out to the north, even it up. 36 loses their first of the match.
And a 77 now on Maffers down here to the south. He does take one, but it looks like he's still up. So Maffers is merged down here to the south with Falcon and Drigo. RJF is all the way, is on to the 6 of Evil up here to the north.
He's chasing, but Italicus is coming in to even that out. I still think 59 minutes are numbered here, but they're fighting pretty hard to stay in it.
And here comes an aim 9. Oh, Evil may be in trouble here. He does get splashed, but RJF gets taken down at the same time, and down here to the south, Falcon is able to dispatch Maffers with a 73, and that is all she wrote. So a couple guys from 36 getting dispatched here late in the round, but it isn't enough as 36 come out on top. 4 players to none remaining. And all they have left now to do is RTB back to Sanaki, I think.
No, I think they're...
No, they came out of Tbilisi here. And that'll be all she wrote for round 3.
That was a good one. I enjoyed that. That ending was juicy.
I think, again, it was just 59th losing their situational awareness and getting to a point that they didn't have mutual support going into that. I don't know what happened.
No, they seemed to get more and more fragmented as the match went on, whereas it seemed like 36 did a little bit better of a job of staying in position to cover each other.
So just watching these guys RTB back to Tbilisi.
Well, I'll tell you what, 36 did what they needed to do to stay in decent position in the standings, and credit to 59s because they certainly didn't make it easy for them.
While we watch these guys RTB, I'm going to see if there's anyone that can do an interview from 36. Just sent them a message, so we'll see what ends up shaking out. But again, it looked like 59th just kind of shot themselves in the foot there with everything disintegrating. They had great posture at the beginning of that round, and it just descended into chaos. There wasn't any mutual support, whereas on the 36 side, we saw that, especially at that last fight up to the north, Gnolma got in trouble, but Italicus was able to come in and get the guy off of Gnolma's 6. So
no, they did a very good. Like I said, 36 always seemed to be in position to be covering one another, at least in the third round here. That was noticeable. They were pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, it was. So it looks like we're going to have Falcon, after we go through the initial tack view, come in here and give us a recap from 36 perspective on how they thought everything went during the round, which honestly is one of my favorite parts of these streams, to be able to hear what the teams think. That was a great match. It was...
No, I thoroughly enjoyed that one.
Yeah. I was well fought by both teams. Credit to both of them.
Their tactics were well played out. Didn't get to do, I think, what each team maybe have wanted to do in every situation, but you rarely do these days. But either way, it was well fought.
Yeah, kudos, big credit to both 59th and 36 for fighting that one out. Taking it to 3 rounds. But if 36 is able to land this one, they'll take it 2 rounds to 1.
And 59th, good year, solid year. Probably wasn't the finish maybe they would have liked, but they certainly, I think all accounts have said that they've made substantial improvements throughout the year. So take that with you into the off season and turn it around for next year, no doubt about it.
So just watching these guys descend. There's Falcon. So we'll grab here in a minute. These guys are RTB back to Tbilisi. Nobody's doing any rejoins yet.
And for the manufacturer standings, we got the J11s taking home a pretty substantial victory today. They were the dominant fighter, no doubt about it.
Yeah, Sukhoi taking it to McDonnell Douglas Boeing here.
There you go. Oh, wait, just so wait, the J11 is not actually manufactured by Sukhoi, right? There's a Chinese manufacturer that has obtained the license from Sukhoi to manufacture that, correct?
Yeah, but it is effectively a flanker. Yeah. I mean, it's known as the flanker B+, so it has some slight deviations, but it is a flanker.
As the Chinese like to do. They take something, make their tweaks to it, and call it their own, right?
Right.
I will say we did see a lot of AIM-9s today, though. There was quite a bit of those flying around in from 59th, which I think we did say earlier. You know, maybe try to keep some of those shots in a little bit closer with those IRs, get a little bit more bang for your buck there.
So just watching these guys RTB.
Thank you, Polar Mouse.
Major Agony saying, we all know the F-18 is the best. I don't know. The energy advantage the F-15 has, granted it is a Flaming Cliffs aircraft, but it does have an energy advantage over the F-18.
Yeah, you're not outrunning that thing.
Significant.
No way. No way. I tried.
I tried.
A few times.
I speak from experience.
It's not happening.
See if we can see him. We can. See where he is, and it looks like he's just coming straight in. So as soon as he puts down, we'll grab the TAC views. We'll go over them. We've got an interview with Falcon from 36 to recap how they feel the match went, and then we'll say our goodbyes and be on for next week.
And we got 2 more weeks left, folks. It's going to be good.
At least for
these
league
last
play.
2 matchups. Yes, correct. These last 2 matchups should be pretty good as well. Hopefully as good as today's was.
Finals coming in here. Who's landing? I think it's Ganalma. No, Italicus. So finals coming in here on Italicus as he's getting ready to put wheels down on runway 13 at Tbilisi. Man, DCS 2.5 looks pretty. I wonder what 1.5 would look like going back to it.
Yeah, I can imagine that'd be difficult to swallow. I sure am excited for these Heapler announcements. This is going to be fun next couple months going through all this.
And guys, I'm going to throw you to that Heapler announcement again while I get the TAC view and stuff set up. So just bear with me. It'll be a couple minutes after we put down, but enjoy
I doubt many people are complaining about getting to watch that thing a couple times today.
Heapler always does it. It's usually Cobra that's done them in the past. They do a phenomenal job at their PR and their media.
I'm hoping I get myself a t-shirt too, because if it's anything like the vegan t-shirt, the Tomcat one, it will go very nicely with my collection of F-14 shirts.
Yeah, I think that's what I'd like one too. So guys, enjoy the video. I'm gonna get stuff set up for the TAC view, and we'll be back here in a few minutes. And we're back. We're going to go over this TAC view real quick, then I'll grab Falcon from the 36 and we can get their insight on how the match actually went for them. But for now, let's jump into the TAC view, do a recap of round 3, and get going. So both guys, 36 through all of these rounds, they take this southern offset, and we talked about this, Joel, previously. I don't know why they're doing it. Maybe Falcon can tell us, but they try and draw this fight further to the south, away from the bullseye. And maybe that's where they practiced. So they're trying to, you know, use terrain that they're familiar with. But every round, through all 3 of them, no matter what side they were on, they tried to drag this fight several kilometers to the south of bullseye.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that, you know, I guess my perspective on it was, if you're going to fight somewhere, I'd rather have the ground below me, but it certainly seemed to be their benefit.
So the first engagement here that somebody pays a consequence for is actually El Rey. I think this is the one we missed. I think. Let me back up here. So he recommits, and El Rey just gets in too deep. And unfortunately, it's a bandit who Ghost Rider is merged with. It's Italicus, who puts a 120B on it. And again, it's just a case of El Rey defending too late, Ghost Rider not being in an energy position where he can deal with Italicus, and then Ghost Rider gets taken down because he's gone vertical, and he gets taken down by an R77 because he doesn't have the energy to defend it. So two guys splashed from the 59th Ravens in a quick succession fashion, which is unfortunate, but it puts them at a very precarious situation with now they're outnumbered 2-1. We see Swimmer getting splashed seemingly out of nowhere. I don't know if he lawn darted. He's low, so that's what it looks like. And then he just dies. So that happened last round.
I'd like to know more about that, whether he was having some problems or whether that was just a technical error.
Well, let's look at his perspective here and see what ends up happening. So he's flying level, level. Huh, not entirely sure why I can't see that. Oh, it's because I'm on the AWACS. Because I'm a dork. Whoops. Sorry, guys. So we'll jump over here. I'm going to see if I can get Swimmer there. See if we can get his view. There we go. So he's just flying really low, and I think he just caught a tree or something. I'm sure, yep, he just caught a tree. He was too low. Flying map of the earth, and he couldn't do anything about it and dies and pays for it.
I think we've all been there.
So he died. They're down to 3 pilots now remaining for the 59th Ravens. And then we see Spike is the next casualty, and he just gets in too close, and he's in close enough that R77 just gets him. It has enough energy that it's a threat, and he pays for it. So 2 pilots remaining now. We saw a couple merges with Maffers and RJF. I think RJF is the first guy to... No. Maffers is the first one to go down. He takes a missile, but then they actually die simultaneously in merges. So they just get bandits on their 6. RJF gets dispatched by Italicus while he's dealing with evil, and then Maffers has Falcon all over his 6 and gets taken down by a 73 that he doesn't know is coming right up his tailpipe. Nobody likes taking anything up the pooper unexpected. So I'm going to grab Falcon here. We're going to get his insight on what happened, and... yeah, we'll go from there. So 1 second, guys. I'll be right back, and we'll be joined by Falcon when we come back here in just a second. And we're back. I'm joined by 36th Falcon here. We're just gonna go over how Falcons felt during the match and their tactics and stuff. So Falcon, congratulations on the win. Big win. I know this puts you guys in a position, depending on how RVE does against SF, that you could actually leapfrog over RVE into third place. So this is big for you guys, right?
Yeah, I actually don't know about the rankings, because I have a little bit of confusion about that. But this match was a pain at the start, because I wasn't at home, because I went to download the rollback version. And other guys told me that they fought in 5, and enemies did a lot of nice evasions, but I don't know about the first round. The second and third was, I think, very plain, very. We tried just to avoid the initial sorting. We tried to bring there in a little bit of confusion, something like that.
We noticed that in round 2, that you guys, that 2 ship that broke off to the north. I think it was Italicus and Drigo that were up to the north, maybe.
No, Drigo is with me. It's my wingman.
Or was it Evil?
Maybe it was, yes, or Italicus, and I don't remember. But anyway, we tried just to avoid the first contact, and then we started to study their moves, and to find which was the good spot to attack.
Right. And you guys were lucky and got an initial kill out of that from Italicus.
Yes. That was fortunate, because you can't every time count on those kills, but if they happen, it's good. And it led us to the victory, because when you have the number superiority, is easier.
So just to, sorry to interrupt, but just to ask something here real quick. You guys went into round 2 with the idea of using that 2 ship to sow confusion amongst the 59th Ravens. Was that the idea there? I think you mentioned something about that earlier. But that...
Yes, but we just improvised. At the moment, we saw their formation. They were 3 ships, and they just flew straight on us. So if they don't do any counter move, if they don't do anything, we just try to ruin their sorting. That's the point.
Well, it seemed to work. So let's talk about the third round then, because the third round seemed to be a little bit more straightforward. But something I want to ask you is, it seems that in each one of the rounds, you guys took this southern offset where you guys were way south of Bullseye over the lakes. Was there a reason that you guys did that?
Yes, because we flew, majority of us was on Russian fighters, and it's better to fight on the mountains,
right? Because
we have more opportunities, better sensors, and it's better to fight there. But they just came there. We fought there.
Okay, so you guys were using the mountains for your guys' advantage, flying the J11s, obviously with Erst, and trying to use the low-flying approach, as most people do with the J11. Now, take us into round 3. Round 3 seems to be a little more straightforward from you guys. You guys didn't have... Well, I backtrack. You guys had that kind of same separated 2-ship, but this time it looked like it was in the south.
Yeah, the different part, the difference on the third round was that at the start we completely lost the contact with the second tier ship of them. We didn't have it on HDD, and but we saw their strobes. we saw they stopped it because there was constantly music on, so we could retrieve their position. But so the point was to not engage too hard the first packet, and then when the second packet came, we tried to attack together. It happened a bad thing because Ganalma was chased by one of them. At that moment I was fighting on the left side with Drigo, so I didn't have a much situation awareness about the right side, but Ganalma was killed and the other guys tried to cover him. It was good because the enemies on the left side of our side went down soon, so we could come on the right to support.
Right. It just looked like you guys put yourselves in positions where you had a numbers advantage in both the north and the south, where either it was even or you guys had more pilots or planes committed to the fight. So even if like Ganalma died, you guys still had enough pilots to be able to take out the 59th guy.
Yeah, we got enough pilot, but I don't know why there was some confusion. Maybe some of them flew very low, and so maybe from the east side they weren't visible. I don't know, I suppose that, but actually it's true. Our guys on the right side were not so supporting, so it was needed for me and Rigo to come there and support.
Well, it ended up working out for you guys. You guys were able to take the match 2-1. So, congratulations in that. I mean, you guys have 9 points. We'll have to see what happens with the SF versus RVE match, but Group B is still up for contention, I guess is the easiest way to say it. So, Falcon, I appreciate you taking your time to come in and talk with us and give us your insight on what happened. It's always nice to hear from the pilots themselves on what is going through their minds and stuff during the matchups. And again, congratulations, man. I really appreciate you taking the time, and congratulations on your win.
Congratulations to you and your commentaries. You guys are awesome. So
thank you.
Thanks to you. And sorry for my English, and sorry for my webcam because I don't have it. So
hey, it's all good, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good job today too. Yep.
So, guys, this is where we leave it. Next week we've got a big matchup between TAW and CNF. This is a huge matchup for Group A, so be sure to tune in for that. Heapler will be here to give away a Tomcat. They'll be here to talk about the Tomcat with a question and answer, maybe more about the announcement that they showed this week. Make sure you tune in 1300 Zulu for that. It'll be a good time. Spread the word. I'm going to post something probably on Hoggit, the Discord, all that stuff. Hopefully we'll see you guys here again next week. Thanks for tuning in this week, and until then, I'll catch you guys next time. Have a good one.
See ya.